trafficking. Isn't that not surreal? Could be you or me who's like the steel. Human trafficking, a nightmare surreal. Could be you or me who's like the steel. Do you really know how it feels? Stolen, stolen, crossing the out of order. This is an international crisis, where millions of them getting exploited. Yeah, forced to be working for nothing. I cannot believe in these modern times that man can be so unkind. Human. It's a fight we must win. Our hearts goes out to the victims. It could be your next life kid. It's human trafficking. Hey, what abomination? It's cruelty of the vilest kind. Ever walk creation trafficking. It's human trafficking. So let this war begin. Stop this trafficking.
On Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I95.5 FM.
And streamed live Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Grand Rising, everyone, and welcome to Dependency on I-95.5 FM. I am Garth.
And I'm Natasha. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's program is deeply personal, painfully real, and powerfully important.
We're revisiting the story of Sarah, a survivor of child trafficking. Many of you may remember hearing her voice back in 2018 when she first came forward in an interview that shocked and moved the nation.
Today we share clips from that earlier interview, but more importantly, you'll hear Sarah again in full 6 years later. Now an adult, she speaks with greater clarity, perspective, and courage about what she endured, how she's healing, and what justice really means.
And with us in studio, are the Director and Deputy Director of the Counter Trafficking Unit. Two people on the front lines of Trinidad and Tobago's fight against human trafficking. They'll be sharing their reflections on Sarah's case, the progress made since, and the work that lies ahead.
And this conversation that we're having this morning is about survival, responsibility, and change, not just for individuals, but the systems. And again, thank you for joining us on I-95.5 and as well to our viewers on Facebook and YouTube. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel or the page when you come on.
Yes, and so let's go to a break. And when we return, we'll hear from Mr. Alan Miguel, the Director of the Counter Trafficking Unit, and the Deputy, Ms. Dane Marie Marshall. Right in studio with us. Again, you'll be hearing from Sarah. Remember, folks, it's vacation time. Please pay attention. Then, of course, during the program, we'll show you how easy it is, in a few seconds, how you can get trafficked. It's amazing how that can happen. Those of you who clubbing, you may be interested in this. All right, so stay right there. You go to a break. We'll be right back.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Dobson here from HMP London. Can I speak to Mr. James, please?
This is Mr. James speaking.
Thank you. Can you hold the line? I have a call coming through to you, sir.
Sure. Hello, Daddy. Hello, yes, Brian?
Daddy, I'm just calling to tell you that I'm locked up in the UK for drug trafficking.
Oh, yeah? You lock up? And you tell me I was going to Tobago? And I tell you about them boy I was liming with? Well, all right. Don't drop the soap. Carry out.
I on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on I-95.5 FM.
Support the Eye on Dependency Curry Q fundraiser by Hot Shop. Just $55 gets you one wrap or 2 mini rotis. From 16th June to 30th July. Get your tickets today. Call or message 75663337 to enjoy a delicious Hot Shop roti and support your favorite radio program.
Join us this Sunday, the 20th of July, for episode 29 of Eye on Dependency, where every life is a biography.
This Sunday on Eye on Dependency, we return to the story that changed the way Trinidad and Tobago confronts human trafficking. Sarah was only a child when she was trafficked for sex. Her courage to testify led to the country's first conviction for this crime.
I feel relieved to see the fact that there are lots of vulnerable females out there. And when people like him see people that he can prey on, he will use them to bring in as much income as possible.
7 years later, Sarah is speaking again about what it took to stand alone in court.
I was really proud of myself for being able to sit down there and make history with the country and to sit to you as well.
Join us as we share Sarah's updated interview and sit down in studio with the director of the Counter Trafficking Unit, Alan Miguel, and the deputy director, Dame Marie Marshall, who was the arresting officer on the case. It's a powerful reminder that one voice can expose the truth and protect others from the same fate. Listen live from 10 a.m. on I-95.5 FM or watch live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel. The Counter Trafficking Unit, Ministry of Homeland Security brings you Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories, we change lives.
Thank you for staying with us. So we're back and we're ready to go. Now, remember, and I'll ask Natasha to elaborate, and then we have, let's say, just say good morning to the director and deputy director. Morning, sir.
Hi, good morning, Garth and Natasha. Thank you all for having us again, and we look forward to a good 2 hours engagement.
Yes. Ma'am?
Good morning, Natasha. Good morning, Garth. Good morning, Trinidad and Tobago. Thanks again for having us here.
No, you're most welcome. We are privileged to have you all in studio here because, folks, you don't hear from them at all during the week and during the year, but trust me, they are very, very busy. Busy, and sometime in the future, maybe, you can get a little more insight and we can show you more of what they do in real time, but for now, they are busy taking care of you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago. Now remember, you all were very appalled when you heard this story when we first dropped it. So it's all falling in line with the act, the means, and the purpose of human trafficking. So we just go back to that. We have just some short clips from Sarah just to remind you what happened. And fortunately for us, we have the arresting officer in studio here. And Ma'am will take us through that process as well. And Ma'am, you know, just before we go, how do you feel now about what happened then and seeing that here? Tell us, as the officer back then, you know, I mean, did you envision that the scenario that were going to take place after the domino effect?
I mean, for every law enforcement officer, and good morning to all our police officers, our defense force officers this morning. For every law enforcement officer, especially the police, when we really progress an investigation is always towards a conviction, right? At the time that we got Sarah, human trafficking in itself and the whole aspects of it in Trinidad and Tobago was still very new. So we were really battling with all the concepts, and I think Sarah will speak about her experience in the court where she knew that she had to drive home what happened to her to the jury. But it feels good. It feels good that we can announce some measure of justice for Sarah, because what generally happens in the whole scheme of the trafficking world, victims tend to just want to revert to what life was before and forget about the prosecution aspects. But for law enforcement, I mean, we really want to be able to engage a prosecution aspect, and with Sarah we were able to with a permanent conviction too.
Yep. Crossing that finish line is really the goal, right? And in so many ways, not just for the survivor, I should say, but sending a message to the country as well that this kind of crime, the perpetrators of this crime will be punished if caught.
Yes, definitely.
Director, you are now spearheading the unit. Are you in any way confident that the unit is on the right road now to taking us to that tier 1 and the work that you all have been doing? Could you just update the public on how you feel about that?
No, God, the work of the Counter Trafficking Unit is prescribed and described by the TIPS Act. And that act is a fairly new act, yes, 2011.
Right.
So it means then that the whole law enforcement apparatus in the country, it was something very, really new to them. So therefore it requires some good forethought or some good planning, some good projection to move from the spot that you are now, where this type of crime is relatively unknown to law enforcement, and one in which it is well on its way to punish persons who engage in that type of act. You would be familiar with the fact that we are constantly assessed in our efforts by the United States Department of State, and their tier ranking system is a good meter, is a good marker, is a good metric for us to determine how we are progressing. But my aim, my purpose, my desire in this is to make sure that the country's response to trafficking in persons is one that will make the trafficker and the networks and they feel fear that at some point in time they will be facing a jury of their peers. Mm-hmm. So that is it. And I am happy. I have a good team of officers. We have good support from the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, the Ministry of Defense. I'm excited about that, the new configuration and so on. So I am there ready to point the way. Once I get my resources, I think we can make a difference in Trinidad and Tobago, and let this not be a crime that would make a person feel, well, okay, it's so lucrative that let's go into it. Mm-hmm. They must pause to say, hey, there's a counter trafficking unit there, and we never know what they're up to, and we never know when they're going to come knocking on our door.
That's right.
Right. And for those out there who think that trafficking is just the trafficker and the person who facilitates it, but there are other players involved, right? Who are the other players? Just for the public knowledge, because some people might feel, well, I'm not contributing to trafficking, but they're still frequenting certain places and doing so. Could you enlighten on that?
Well, of course, trafficking, if you don't have consumers, you're not going to have traffickers,
Right.
And it concerns me that in this country, we seem to have a cultural disposition towards persons of Latin America and, foreigners generally. Some of our songs, you talk about, I remember one where they say, you're looking for a Spanish woman. And next one, some of the young people singing songs where they talk about certain places of ill repute and venues. So the point I'm trying to make is simply this. Sometimes we have a cultural attitude towards people that makes it very, very difficult and makes, you sort of widen the target for persons that are involved. But it is not, Gat, you're right. It is not an individual thing. It is a network. And the network has a process flow. So when the recruitment takes place, the transport takes place, the person come here, they're given a debt, they're told they have a debt, they're taken to bars, spas, and other places. So that is the process. And the end of the process is the consumer. And the consumer, let's be frank, males partaking in, sexual encounter for a price with female person. There was one time, and I'll quickly say this. We call them Johns, yes?
Yes.
One of them went to participate in a transaction like that. And when he saw the victim, he was stunned. He said, no. And he called the Counter Trafficking Unit, Okay. And we commend him for that, and, we have to curb our behaviors, especially in relation to trafficking in persons and victims of trafficking as men and as members of the society.
Ma'am, could I add anything to that?
For me, it's important to note that we are seeing significant trends of women recruiters, right? And of course, the recruiters are coming from their own mainland. So as Director indicated previously, there's a foreign national scoop of victims with the new trend, and of course it's because of the political and economic instabilities in Venezuela at this time that is causing the migrant flow to Trinidad. But what we are really recognizing, the recruitment is taking place in the mainlands, persons that they know, that they know somebody that knows somebody, or it's by association, by somebody, you know. So so that dynamic is one that is causing more flow, because, you know, we went out and did desensitizations both here and in Venezuela and said, don't let Trinidadians fool you in coming here. Now the story has to change to,
Yes.
don't let your own people fool you into coming here.
Yep. Yep.
So that's a significant situation. And of course, we want to put all those bars and spas on notice that when you facilitate trafficking, you can find yourself in some problems in relation to the law, right? So some people might be of the opinion that they just slime in here. You know, where there is a Latin American woman, your bar might sell more beers, huh? Just wanted to tell you that you have to be very careful that outside of them just being there and probably facilitating discussions, more is happening in the background that your establishment might be found culpable in, you know. So, yeah.
Doctor?
Let me just add this, and this is the trends that we are noticing now. And I want you to imagine that Venezuela is a huge country. The closest points to Trinidad and Tobago is Guerrilla and Tocopita. So when they are recruiting, using the digital platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and all of these things, and using AI to mask their presence there and so on, these people, and they have to make their way from some parts of Venezuela, yes, rural parts maybe, you know, and come to that point where they could jump on a boat and jump over. Yeah. So that is part of the process flow I was speaking about. And once they reach here, the expectation that they're having is that, well, I've landed in Trinidad, let me go and make some money and send back home.
Yep.
Yes, but we know what the truth is by now, yeah?
Yeah.
So,
if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we have in studio with us the Director and Deputy Director of the Counter Trafficking Unit of Trinidad and Tobago. In studio with us, Mr. Alan Miguel, Director, and Deputy Danebury Marshal. So, Tasha, without further ado, can you introduce the clips that we are about to hear from Sarah? And remember, you too, the driver who went and picked them up, you facilitated to it. Don't feel you getting paid to just pick up and drop off. And
special name for you is the transporter.
That's right. You're the transporter, so you're not exempt. All right, buddy? All right. Natasha?
Right, so these clips that we're going to play from our interview with Sarah in 2018, sort of, the first one, we will just establish Sarah's identity, and she will talk about her family life. So you'll, as Shortman is asking me how you want the clips to run, so you'll just play clip 1 first, when she talks about her family life, what her situation was before she was trafficked, and then the next 3 she will describe in her own experience the act, the means, and the purpose. So you could play those 3 together, and then the final one is where justice was served. She managed to escape her trafficker, and she talks about how the CTU found her and justice was served in that sense. So we could start with clip A, Shortman. This is Sarah from 2018 talking about her family life.
Home it was never actually quiet, because it's like a family of, 6 children, and it's only my mom, no father figure around. So most of the time my mom would be working. My siblings, we were all kids. It would have a lot of drama when mommy is in there, a lot of noise per se, disagreements.
So who took care of you all when mom wasn't around?
Basically ourselves.
Did you ever live with your father at all?
I actually did for 3 years.
And what was that like?
At the beginning it was confusing, because, he was never wrong at the beginning. So I actually wanted us to build that father-daughter relationship, but that never happened.
What would have caused you to be with him and not your mom and the rest of your siblings?
Well, after a while living with my mom, I had my little phase of attitude or, becoming a teenager. And my mom, she sent me by my dad after a number of disagreements.
Right, so that is just to establish Sarah's position, her identity, her circumstance before she was trafficked. So the next 3 clips she will describe in her own words. She's not describing it for us, but we have identified through what she has told us the act, the means, and the purpose of how she was trafficked. So we play those 3 clips back to back.
Someone saying that Natasha, we're not hearing, so we'll make the adjustments to the microphone.
I probably just need to speak up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So yes, let's go to the act.
The
Let's
act,
go,
the
right?
means and the
These clips
purpose.
are short, so pay attention, please, folks. Let's go.
When I left school, I started to do job hunting, and I ended up finding somewhere that stated that they were doing carnival costume promotions. And I was always interested in modeling. So when I saw it, I thought that, it's an opportunity to build myself, especially in the modeling career. And I went to the interview, and that's when things started to go left.
So what was the interview like? Where was it? Office building or?
It was at a house, but the house, you can tell that business happens there due to the fact that there's an office and the way everything is set up. So it wasn't anything fishy or anything like that. At the time, it had 2 females in the house and another person who came to be interviewed as well. The interview, it started okay. Questions about if I ever did promotions, if it is I am into modeling, and then I was asked if I'm willing to do adult entertainment. Now at 15, I don't know what is adult entertainment. So I'm like, what? And he's like, being able to please man. And I said, no, I'm not interested. So he offered me a job as being a cashier at a bar. So I took the bar job, the cashier job, instead of having to do the adult entertainment. But while I'm there, the other person is a female who came to be interviewed. While we were sitting waiting for him, she told me that they do adult entertainment as an escort and all of that. And I was like, I'm not interested. I'm just going to do it. It starts off okay. And he started to basically flirt with me. First, as in, he would always message me, or like, you look nice today, or try to, talk to me nice, and always trying to be a gentleman.
Were you okay with the flirting?
I actually started to like him, so I guess I was okay with it at the point in time. He would always give me attention, always give me things that I'm actually seeking for. He is that type of person to read a person and know exactly what it is they want or what they need. So if it is he thinks that you're lacking attention, he'll be able to give you 100% attention. If he thinks that you're lacking love, he's the person to give you all the love that you need, so that you'd always think that this is the person for you.
And how did the other girls feel about that?
They started to become very jealous, so they would always try to create drama when I am involved. And he would always defend me, always pick up for me. So if they come and be like, why did you do that? You're not supposed to do that. He would look at them and say, leave her alone. She could do what she wants. So all of that got me, thinking that he's actually on my side.
What manner did he pop this big question to you?
While I was working, he was looking all stressed. So I asked, what's wrong? And he said, I have a friend who actually wants a job to be done, but I don't have anyone to go do it. I said, oh, okay. So what's wrong with the girls? And he said, well, one is supposed to be working in the bar, and the other one, she's apparently on her period. I said, oh, well, I would work in the bar for the person who's in the bar, and she can go ahead. I'd hold on for her. And he's like, no, she can't. Would you be able to do it for me, please? I don't have anyone, and I really need you to do it for me. I can't lose this customer. And he kept begging or pleading until I eventually said, okay.
So what you had to do to prepare?
I just went home. When I went home, my boyfriend wasn't home. Thankfully, so I didn't have to explain anything to him. I just got home, changed my clothes, and I went back to meet him. And when it says we were on our way, he gave me the rules, as in no kissing, always use a condom, no exchanging of names, contact numbers, emails. He took me to the hotel, so he took me to meet the client. And when he met the client, they exchanged words, greetings, and then the client would have given him money, and then he would have come back to me and hand me condoms. And at that point in time, I was ready to change my mind. I was like, I don't think I could do this. And he's like, but we're already here. Do it, please. Like, I really need you to. So I was like, okay. And I went to get the job done.
The client took you up to his room.
Yeah, we went up in the elevator. There was an awkward silence where no one would speak or look at each other directly. And when we got to the room, he just offered me water. I said yes, and then, well, yeah.
Did you have to prepare yourself physically and mentally for this?
Physically was just the appearance. Mentally, yeah, I had to prep talk myself. As in, just go in, get it done, and that's it.
And how long did that visit last?
Well, he paid for our session, but it lasted like about 30 minutes, if so long.
You were scared in that room with this person alone?
I was terrified because you don't know the person is a stranger. I had all those thoughts. What if he tries to kill me? What if something goes wrong? What if I do something he doesn't like? So it's the first time when all of those questions were going through my head.
What was batting like?
Well, it was his hotel room. So when we finished have sex, I just took a shower. And while taking a shower, I was so disgusted with myself due to the fact that it was nasty. I just never looked at myself in that type of way. I was in the shower, I cried. I didn't even want to touch myself while bathing. But I eventually got hold of myself and came out and dressed myself and left after.
Did he come pick you up?
Yeah, he did. I called him after and he came to pick me back up.
So leaving that hotel room, walking that corridor, going to the elevator, and what were you thinking then?
Walking out, I was ashamed. Because in my mind, everyone just knew what I did.
When he picked you up, what was the conversation like?
His first question was, how was it? I said, well, it was terrible. He said, what do you mean? What happened? I said, well, I just had sex with a stranger for money. And I feel very disgusted with myself and I started to cry. And he held me and hugged me and was like, it will be okay, it's alright. I'm like, no, it's not going to be okay. Like, this thought is going to be in my head forever. And he held me, and like for the next week or so, he would treat me very special, even more special per se.
You got paid from who I should describe as a pimp?
After that week, I actually got $5 extra for that job.
Still keeping in mind that you have a boyfriend who didn't know this happened. Did you go home or was planning to go home and let him know?
I went home, but no, I didn't let him know. I couldn't let him know. Due to the fact that I was living by him. And if he knew I was gay, that I would have had to go back home. Or I wouldn't have anywhere to go at all. And not only that, but he already did so much for me as in helping me out with school and everything. I felt like I would have been a huge disappointment. And I just didn't tell him anything. And he would see something was wrong that night, so he'd keep asking, what happened? What happened to you? Why are you acting like this? And I keep saying nothing. I'm okay. And that night, I couldn't even sleep properly. I was very, very uncomfortable. It was one step into another. So I would tell myself, probably if you weren't so vulnerable at that point and agreed to do it, then you wouldn't end up in a situation that you would have been in.
So, if you were able to identify, for those of you listening on the radio, you should have been able to identify the act, which is the act of recruiting. So she saw an ad for carnival costume modeling. That was the avenue to recruit her. Then the means, which is how do you get this person to perform the act that will bring in your money. She was deceived, she was coerced, she was groomed by this individual into performing the act. And the purpose of the whole scenario was commercial sex. So she was coerced, she was groomed into believing that she could actually perform sexual acts for money, and that was the purpose for which she was recruited in the first place. The act, the means, and the purpose, perfectly described by Sarah. Now
Sorry, Natasha, sorry.
No, let's just go to the final clip where
Okay.
she talks about what happened after she left this man's house.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to I Dependency, and we have in studio with us Deputy Director of the Counter Trafficking Unit. And of course, you know the Deputy Director was the one who laid the charges, arrested and charged the individual who's now serving time right here in Trinidad and Tobago. So let's go to that clip where justice was served, and then we'll come back and hear from the Directorate of the CTU. We'll take a break and you'll hear from Sarah today, 2025. All right, so let's go to that part of it now.
How did you make that transformation now from being on your own to going back to a house with lots of brothers and sisters?
I was actually happy because when I was up there, I would hardly see my family. Most of the times I'd just be working. So within a 3-month time frame, I'd see my family probably twice. So I was happy to be around them all the time, get to know each other more or better because everyone changes. So I was happy, and throughout that time frame, he kept calling, and when I wouldn't answer, he would just show up, and he would come and he would be begging and asking me to make back, and eventually all of that stopped when he got arrested.
So how did it all come crashing down for him?
He was arrested for having females captive against their will, and that would have happened when I would have left. One of the females that would have been staying there as well, she would have left about 2 weeks after me. And so he basically only had one other permanent female. The others, they would work as well, but they would come and go. Just come, do their job and go. But it's 3 of us used to actually stay there. So only one person was left, and he had to get other females to get the job done. And at that point in time, Venezuelan females, they had now started to become plentiful in Trinidad, or wanted by Trinidad men. So he found it necessary to hold 2 Venezuelan girls captive against him. And at the time they were screaming and crying because apparently they were getting beaten, and the neighbors would have called the police.
So how do you feel now knowing that this pimp is behind bars now?
I feel relieved to see the fact that there are lots of females, vulnerable females out there. A lot that is trying to always make a quick dollar, or a lot that is just trying to get bills paid. And when people like him see people that he can prey on, he will pull them in and use them to bring in as much income as possible. So that is a big relief to me, because I have sisters as well, and I don't want some man who actually knows what young women want to be using them.
This would show as well that our law enforcement officers are on top of this and working assiduously to bring these perpetrators to justice?
Yeah. They worked on it really fast. They found out about me and they contacted me in less than a week. And after they contacted me, they would have started their investigations and interviews and everything like that. And everything to me happened fast.
When you went back home, what did you decide to do with your life?
I started to work at a grocery. I was a cashier there. So I worked there for a little while to bring in income, as well as I wanted to start back to go to classes so that I could actually get my subjects. And that's when everything started to become good again.
So that was Sarah back in 2018 when we first interviewed her. That was the interview that launched, a lot of, as we said in the promo, a change in how we in Trinidad and Tobago treat this very serious crime.
Yes, thank you very much for staying with us, and good morning to you folks on YouTube. We see you. Thank you, Rosemary. Yes, I know. Yes, Brooklyn's in the house, right? Thank you. And yes, we have the deputy and the director here in studio with us. And let's first, listening to this deputy and director, it's sort of ignited a sort of, what should I say?
Yes, you ever feel vexed again?
Pissed, to know that somebody could look at a child. And this is why we like interviewing people like that to find out why. What would have prompted you to do that? But director, before we go to the deputy, let's hear your thoughts on what you just heard.
There's no amount of sensitization that I could do that would have the effect of what that child just described.
Yeah.
And even though I'm the director, I'm still moved, by hearing stories like that. But I want people to know that this is important to hear that story, because it always seems as though it's happening to another person, but it can happen home. This was a Trinidadian girl, local person, yes, snatched from groomed out of her insecurity into a place that she felt secure.
Yes.
From insecurity, she felt she went to a place of security, only to be faced by these monsters, isn't it? And I kudos to her. She stayed the course. Yes, that person is serving a long prison sentence.
Yes.
And the thing about it is, the story that she's telling there, God, as sad as it is not the worst of the stories, I know.
Correct.
Because you can imagine the person who, and let me preface what I'm going to say by saying this. The Counter Trafficking Unit is not about dealing strictly with Venezuelan persons, right? However, circumstances in Venezuela has created a migrant flow, and the migrant flow has created vulnerabilities. The vulnerabilities can be exploited. So this is the story that she's telling. However, for a Venezuelan female, a child, come over here on a boat in the darkened sea dress, thrown in a van and carried someplace and said, hey, the response of the trafficker in those circumstances can be very, very, very brutal. Yes? And as sad as the story is, I've heard worse. Not to diminish from what this child is telling us, and the public needs to understand. This is the face of it.
Yep.
No words that I can put forward could capture, the experience that young woman had.
Yep.
So, ma'am.
Yes.
You're the one who put the handcuffs on and took tell us how this, take us through this, please. Take us through this.
So as she was lamenting in your interview, Sarah had already left the confines of her trafficker when the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service mounted an exercise based on a report made by a neighbor.
Right.
The neighbor reported that there were loud screams, and of course the tongue wasn't one of our national tongues. It was a foreign national they believe was in the home. And they mounted an exercise and entered the home to rescue and found two women locked, Venezuelan national women locked in a room. Of course, they were able to on the premises, and we could speak freely now because the matter has been ventilated in the court. They found sexual paraphernalia, they found the condoms, they found everything you could think about at the residence, and they, at that time, referred it to the Counter Trafficking Unit. The Counter Trafficking Unit, we arrived at, that was Aruka station at the time, and we met with those young ladies. We then took out a search warrant prescribed under the Trafficking in Persons Act and re-entered the home. And in that search, we found documents. And one of the documents was the passport of this young lady. So just imagine you know this place is a place of ill repute, and you see a passport of a child. So you're like, ugh, what is this? So that was put there, and we maintained the inquiry with the woman. But in the back of my mind, the passport was found. So we pursued inquiries in relation to why that passport was there. Because the passport is the property of the government of Trinidad and Tobago, right? Not just the person, right?
Correct, yes.
So, and meeting Sarah for the first time, she denied. She did not. She did not indicate that she had suffered anything. She just reported that it was lost and probably they found it. But persistence, you know, when you get that tingling feeling, God. So I met with her again, this time using the victim and witness support officers. And we explained to her that whatever had happened was not her fault and that she is a child. Because at the time we found that she was still a child. And as officers, we swear to protect and serve. And we want you to be able to tell us what has happened to you so that we can do what is necessary. And she said it there, to assist other young women. So what she's saying is what she was being told at the time to convince her to come out and speak her truth. So that subsequently went to a point where we conducted the inquiries. And the day that Mr. Smith went to court, I think that was photographed throughout Trinidad and Tobago, because he was slapped with 21 charges that day. And he was placed on $2 million bail. Because what we had as evidence was that this was a predator, that we needed to not be out on the streets. Right? Mr. Smith, of course, served about 5 years prior to him actually receiving bail. I think bail came for him within the COVID, when they were sort of trying to see how best they could clear up.
Ease up,
yeah.
Yes.
And that's when he was placed on electronic monitoring device. And with the court looking at trafficking in persons and seeing the importance, we were given a fast track because the matter we were ready, because the committal for Anthony Smith, and that's the perpetrator's name, and I could say it boldly, his committal came under a year of him being charged.
Record time.
Committal came, and I want to commend the DPP office. The person who was prosecuting the matter is now a master in the High Court, so she know herself. And they worked diligently to get this matter to the committal stage. So when we were at this point where we were looking for a matter to really progress in the High Court, this matter was ready. And they took it, and judge in the matter was Godfrey Henderson. And that jury, I could remember their faces. And that's something I say, jury is the normal everyday man operating and working, and we went through, trial started in September and the verdict came in November. So you would hear Sarah speak about leaving before there was a decision made.
Yes.
And of course, during the process of the trial, there was a change of attorney, because I mean the accused, he felt as though it was coming, because I think what had happened, The day Sarah actually walked through that door and he realized she was present, he knew.
The jig was up.
Down, yes.
Yeah. Because remember, she would say to you that he tried to reach her at different places, different times. But the day when the matter started and the Justice Protection Unit walked Sarah into that court.
Drama.
He said no. He said the Trinidad and Tobago, the Counter Trafficking Unit means business here today. You know? So he absconded. And of course there was several submissions to continue the matter. Again, I want to commend the DPP office because those attorneys went and found case laws all over the world to allow for the matter to continue. And in his absence, in absentia, yes. And it continued towards the prosecution and conviction. So
I'm getting goosebumps just listening to this, because I'm sure it would have been a great day for you as well, knowing that this was your, the international, and the scrutiny that we've been under to know that, hey, finally, we crossed that level.
I mean, the director will tell you, once any conviction you get, feel good enough. No, and this wasn't my first, right? But it spoke volumes for a country that was facing, as the director spoke to you all about our assessment.
Yes.
And one of the biggest things in our assessment, the TIP report, was that we had no convictions. We were at zero in terms of prosecution.
Yes.
So I felt good about that. But I mean, any law enforcement officer, once you go in the high court, give you evidence and you get conviction, you good, Yeah.
It's sort of like the fruiting of a tree that was planted.
Yes.
So that you finally, you have a bountiful harvest, and and it really buoys us. It makes us feel,
Yes.
Putting on your show to go to work, you feel a sense of pride that you have the capacity.
Yeah.
There you are. You have demonstrated that capacity.
I love that analogy.
Bring somebody to justice. That's, ultimately, that is what the role of the law enforcement and.
Definitely.
Absolutely. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Our Dependency, and those of you on YouTube, welcome. Thank you very much. Each of you, we're going to a break, and when we come back, you'll hear Ma'am just running through face, so you'll hear from Sarah now that appearance in court and how it went. But, if each of you on YouTube especially bought a Kariku ticket, that is it, all the tickets are out. So think about it now and let us know, right? So we have 100 more. So if each of you buy one, that's it. The work finished. But let's go to a break. And when we return, you will hear that part now of Sarah explaining what her day in court or the time in court was like. She speak about leaving Trinidad, then the court matter, the conviction, life after that as a survivor, and all of that. So let's go to that break. We'll return right here with the story of Sarah and the Counter Trafficking Unit of Trinidad and Tobago.
Hello. Hi, this is Patricia Kent from HMP London. Can I speak to Miss Sheila, please? This is Miss Sheila. Hi, I've got an important call for you. Please hold the line.
Mommy, it's Sherry.
Oh, God, Sherry, we looking for you all the time. 3 weeks now. Where you going?
Mommy, I'm calling to tell you I get locked up. I had drugs in my luggage and I'm in England right now. In jail.
Oh, God, Sherry, what? What you do? How you reach there? Oh, God, how we gonna go?
Oh, God, Mommy, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. It'll be all right. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Eye on Dependency. Reality radio at its best every Sunday on I 95.5 FM. Don't
Support the Eye on Dependency Curry Q fundraiser by Hot Shop. Just $55 gets you 1 wrap or 2 mini rotis. From 16th June to 30th July. Get your tickets today. Call or message 75663337 to enjoy a delicious Hot Shop roti, and support your favorite radio program.
Hello, my name is Raquel, a trainee inmate at HMP Drake Hall, Staffordshire, England, and you're listening to Iron Dependency with Garth and Natasha. Please, people, don't traffic drugs. The money is all that nice. It's not worth it.
Thank you for staying with us. This is Iron Dependency. We are in studio with the Director and Deputy of the Counter Trafficking Unit, and we just replayed an interview with Sarah, who's survivor of human trafficking right here in Trinidad and Tobago, and we did an updated interview with her in 2025. An older, much more mature and much more confident woman we spoke to, and she will tell us what took place, as Ma'am just described, in terms of what happened in the court, why she decided to leave Trinidad first of all, what happened with the court, how she felt hearing about the conviction, what has life been since the conviction, and talk a little bit about her own personal future.
Yes, you're listening to Independency, so let's go to that first one. I think Natasha is...
Yes,
I don't know,
in the first clip she talks about her decision to leave Trinidad.
All right, so let's go and let's hear from Sarah now.
What do you remember about the moment you were first identified as a victim and came into contact with the CTU?
I think when I was classed as a victim, quote unquote, I was a bit in denial. The word victim is used for people that, was in a kind of, I would think, say, like in a more serious situation.
A loaded term, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's spectrum. It's on a spectrum for sure. So when it is that they classed me as a victim, I was like, I don't think I'm a victim, until I was kind of sat down and they explained it to me. And then I was like, oh, shucks. Okay, right. It was a bit like eye-opening, let's just say.
Okay. Was it scary at all?
It kind of was, because most of the time we think that, we have control of our lives. But when you put like in a mental block and you're not actually seeing that, and someone else, brings that forward to you, you kind of realize. And yeah, it was scary, and it was an up and down kind of, yeah.
And so you were taken out of the country because of concerns for your safety. No?
That is pretty much incorrect. I was in the care of the CTU for a little while, and then when they deemed it safe for me to re-enter society, I continued feeling like I just was not safe here at all whatsoever. And don't get me wrong, the CTU was very supportive, and they really did help me try to reintegrate, but psychologically I just was not safe to me. And someone ended up telling me, why don't you go away if it is you feeling like, and I was like, you know what? I think you're onto something. And I kind of just worked with the help of CTU. They were still supporting me, taking me to and from work and all of that. Started working and just basically saved every single penny. Even when it is I went back out and started living by myself and all of that, I just saved with the goal that I'm going to get out of Trinidad. And I basically took myself out of Trinidad.
Could you describe what that time was like once you did go? Did you feel nostalgic for home and still knowing that the person who hurt you was still free? Did you feel safer out of the country?
I feel like, yes, I was definitely feeling safer, but at the same time, I feel like our earth is just so small, and sometimes you can literally go to the opposite side of the world and you bump up somebody that you probably grew up with down the road, and you're like, what you doing here? So yes, I did feel safer, but I didn't feel completely safe, if that makes sense. But when I did go over there for the first time, yes, I was definitely feeling homesick, because I went over when it was cold. So leaving Trinidad where it's nice and hot, and then just entering there, and I'm like, but I definitely never gave myself the option to move back home.
What about your emotional state? How did you do emotionally initially with that kind of?
Oh no, that was a whole depressing time. I think moving over there in winter as well did not help because I mean it was dark all the time and all of that. So I think for the entire autumn winter period, I was depressed. So like half a year, 6 months, yeah, I was like crying every day.
How long did it take for you to kind of find your bearings and get accustomed to your new life?
So the first time, I would say about half a year to a year. Yeah, definitely. After the first year, then I felt like I was okay. I was able to kind of like fit in a little bit even and kind of start coming out of my shell basically.
So what were the things that helped you to keep going when things felt overwhelming? How did you manage to overcome?
You know what? Listen, I just looked myself in the mirror one day and I was just like, listen, you need to put on your big girl panties because there's literally no one in this world that's going to save you. You basically have to save you. And that was just it. Like, I just basically told myself, you have to keep going. You have to do better. You have to be better. So it was really me.
So that was the first part of the interview where she talks about her decision to leave Trinidad, and for her it was the right choice. It was not an easy move, as we heard her say, but was definitely supported by the CTU, I imagine, so that she would have a sense of safety while all of the legal ramifications were going on in the background.
And Director, we you see the start of a disruption of someone's life now. They have to uproot themselves now, and this young lady especially, and have to start all over again, in a sense.
I am amazed at of this girl's courage and her eloquence, the way she gives you that first-person narrative. And that's something that I cannot do because I never lived that experience.
Yeah.
So the country is in a better position now to understand what this whole trafficking in persons is about. She was fortunate enough to relocate after the fact. But could you imagine a situation where the person don't have that choice and these people are lurking everywhere, you live constantly in fear?
Yes.
So, and could you imagine, because again, we place some emphasis on the Latin American female because most of our trafficking here is for sex. They don't have any support systems here, To keep them here to the point where we can extract that evidence from them is, I mean, it's sometimes they give up, sometimes they say, no, it's better. Some say they better go back to their trafficker. Some say they better go back home. And in circumstances like that, especially when they're adults, we don't have control over that. But what we can do, and this is our approach now, is to make sure that while they're staying here, they live a life that is meaningful. We give them tools, utility. So they do vocational training, technical and vocational training, whether it's makeup, whether it's nail tech and so on, to keep them interested. We give them, for those who qualify, they get minister's permit so they can go out and work in the meantime. Because we find that the lull between the interdiction and the final conviction sometimes could be very long. And to heal that, our approach to that is to meet with the judiciary in all its various segments. So the deputy, she had a sensitization with the masters of the High Court. I did the judges yesterday, as a matter of fact. So throughout the criminal justice system, we are sensitizing persons that when a matter comes before you, you have to consider that this person came from a traumatic situation. We have to be careful as not to re-traumatize them. We know that a matter like this has to go on the fast track towards a conclusion. Yes, whatever that conclusion is. But it must go on. We can't keep people waiting indefinitely for long periods. This is a special type of crime. And we need a special type of understanding throughout. I mean, from the point of investigation, interdiction, preparation of a case docket to take before the court while the matter is being progressed through the court, So desensitization is about having a holistic approach, everybody on board. So when you see Garth, we have a case of trafficking in persons, we know, yes, let everybody perk up and say, there are so many moving parts to this, we better get everything in line, yes? So that is where we're at, but this is a case in point, a true case in point, yes? It's a serious story.
Yep.
Yeah, you see, it is important for persons to understand. So you would hear that the Counter Trafficking Unit mount an exercise and there's a raid at a location. And the next thing you would want to think is that there would be a charge of trafficking in persons. When you find a victim, and in Sarah, it was the same. You had to ensure that her psychosocial needs was met to a way that you'd be able to offer you all that happened in her process. Because you would have instances where people will block out things thinking it would be for their own benefit.
Right.
But then for a law enforcement officer, that's things that I need for my evidence to bring a proper prosecution before the court, right? So you might have an interface with a person, and you know the way we did it before, when you arrest somebody, a victim comes in a station and say they were closest thing to trafficking would be a rape, a sexual offense, huh? And they come and they say that I was just raped. The old school used to tell you, get a statement. But you know, by 2-3 weeks down the road, she might come and tell you, he smelled like this. But the night she didn't tell you that. Because what you didn't do was ensure that she was ready to give you that statement.
Yeah.
So at the Counter Trafficking Unit, we have with us Miss Christine Ford, and she focuses on our victims, the psychosocial aspect, and she's out of the Victim and Witness Support Unit, and she's supported by them, because we wouldn't get one girl, one woman. We might get 3 and 4. So with that level of support is how we want to be able to get the best evidence out of a witness, and we have progressed so many things. So group sessions with them to speak out, and so that they will know that they're not alone in this situation, especially if they are found by themselves. That whole aspect of understanding that feeling like failures, because most of them took the journey to be able to satisfy a need back home. So that's where the vulnerability lands. So some of them consider the fact that, listen, I have not done what I set out to do.
Right.
All I've done is incurred a $30,000 debt.
Yes.
So this is part of. So we have to make them understand that they are victims. And Sarah said it. When the word victim came, she was like,
I'm not a victim. Yeah.
What do you mean by victim? I'm not a victim. A Venezuelan woman, even at the point in think about it, considering to board a boat in the dead of night, no life jacket, to come across a better life. How you can call me a victim? Natasha, how you will call me a victim? Never, because I'm strong. And I've made a decision to go out there and do something for my family. So whatever obstacle may come, a $30,000 debt, a beaten here, sex with 15 men a night, that might be course of the journey, right?
Yeah.
So we have to now explain to them that's not course of the journey. You're a victim.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and that was very, very explicit, ma'am. And sometimes when we feel life throw us a curveball, there are some people, just picture the ones who we're not seeing and what they're going through right now in a room somewhere. And as the director described, getting on a boat, as ma'am just said, getting on a boat in the dead of night, not knowing that you're going to make it to the next shore, leaving one shore. That too is part of that horrific journey. The sea could be in your favor or the sea may not be. But let's go to now, Natasha.
The court matters. She is going to describe exactly what she experienced going to court, having to come back to Trinidad to testify against the man who trafficked her.
See if you could walk it through in your mind as you listen. Let's go.
So now we're going to go to the matter itself, the court proceedings. And you agreed to testify. Was it your decision to testify in person?
Yes.
Why did you think that that was the right option for you?
What better way to get revenge than to watch the person in their eye and just be like, look at where you are, look at where I am. First of all, we're in this situation because of what you did. And like I said before, I was very much blinded to the fact that I was a victim. So to know that I can watch my perpetrator in the face and see them pay for what they did to me, I was like, yeah, I'm in. They didn't even have to ask me twice.
And what was that experience like? I'm assuming you'd never been in a courtroom before. You'd never been in this position before. So
no.
What was it like? Was it intimidating? Was it, as you say, a time to sort of push back on this man and look him in the eyes and say, you know, I know what you did? What was that whole trial experience like?
I mean, it was very scary. Every time I entered that courtroom, I was physically shaken. It was very terrifying. I just didn't know what to expect. You know, I'd be watching a little Judge Judy and thinking, like, it might be like that. But at the same time, I just could not control my nerves at all. Like, I had no control over me just shaking out. It was crazy. And a few times I did have a couple breakdowns and all of that because the situation wasn't great. And to just be kind of thrown back into that and have to kind of relive all of that and tell it to all these strangers as well, where they're just staring you down and one wrong word and he can be walking free. So I felt like it was a lot of pressure and it was probably the most terrifying thing I've ever done.
Did at any point in time you make eye contact with the person?
So I actually cannot remember, but I think I saw him like once. And then that's when he basically escaped. So the first time, because I had more than one court date to appear, and the first one, yes, I did, which I kind of wanted to. I wanted to see him there throughout the entire thing, you know. So when it says I did find out that he was no longer in custody, I felt really betrayed by the system as well. I was like, how could you guys allow this to happen, especially at this point where we worked so hard to get to? Like, I was really annoyed with the system, but at the same time, I was really vexed within myself that I couldn't watch him throughout each and every day when I had everything to say and get off my chest.
Now, you know, courtrooms can be very intimidating, even if you go in there as the victim. Was it during that interaction, did he, in looking at you while testifying, did he give you the eye, like, you know, you better watch what you're saying?
Oh, yeah, 100%. And that's not the first time as well, because it was in lower court as well. And at that point, he tried intimidating me as well, like, you know, giving me the stares. And the judge basically had to intervene and say, well, you need to stop it. Stop trying to intimidate me. But yes, and it didn't make my shaking any better. You know, I just became very, very, at that point, my bladder just was not my friend, because I was just like, I need to go and use the bathroom.
So what about his attorneys now? How did you feel about them and their line of questioning?
That did not go very well, because I am a lot more confident now than I was, and I'm definitely a stronger person than I would have been then. So his attorneys like really tried bullying me on the stand to make it seem like, you know, this was my choice and he didn't have anything to do with it, and I was basically the one, like, you know. And I was like, well, this not actually making any sense, and what you're accusing me of, it have no physical evidence of these kind of things. Like, you can definitely go in my bank account and see what's there or what was there at a point in, like, you know. So it had a lot of back and forth between me and her, to the point where the judge was kind of just like, stop. Yeah, because I was just like, I'm not going to sit here and like allow you to make these people believe that, you know, this was my choice, or I wanted to be there, or I wanted these things to happen. Like, who in their right mind would want these things to happen to them, you know? So she did try to intimidate me a lot, and she was very loud and boisterous, and that, again, did not make matters any better, until I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to fight back. because I'm not going to let the case get this far to then kind of cower and be scared to say what I want to say. This is the time I'm going to talk. So I did.
Did it ever cross your mind looking at her? Because you said her now we understand as a female.
Yes.
That was a strategy, I'm sure.
Yeah. Did you ever look at her during those sessions and say, well, you serious, woman?
Yes, I actually did. And then the judge was like, you can't ask a question. Yeah, I was asking loads of questions. She would be asking me something and I'd be like, you find that makes sense? Like, you know, she'd be saying like, and this happened. I'd be like, but you wasn't there. Like, were you there? And so the judge was like, you can't ask a question. So then I was like, well, you weren't there. So you can't tell me that is what I did. Because the thing she was saying as well was just so ridiculous. Even, like, you know, everyone else in the room was just looking at her like, really? So I just feel like she was just fishing for lots of things just to see how I would respond. But most of the times, yeah. But I did look at her like, what are you really talking about? Like, you find that makes sense? Like, no.
How long did that process last, the trial?
The entire trial lasted about a month. I was there for, I think it was like 2 weeks. So I was like back and forth from court for about, 2 weeks.
Were any other witnesses called?
So I think I was the sole witness in this case in terms of victims. Hence why it was so important for me to actually be there, because I was the only victim there, willing to say, sit down in court and talk. All the other witnesses would have been like, you know, the officers and all of that. I didn't see any other witnesses besides the officers.
So what support did you receive either from the CTO or any other person while you were going through this process? Because I imagine going to court every day, spending hours on the stand, coming home and feeling really tired and drained, and I really have to go through this.
You see, JPU, they deserve the biggest trophy Trinidad and Tobago have to offer. I just want to say that because from the start, they made me feel so safe. It was unbelievable. You know, I didn't question anything. Like, you know, they always made sure people was with me. I was in a secured place, with surveillance, and even getting to and from court. It was, I kind of felt like I was the president of it. Escort service, and, you know, I didn't for one moment feel unsafe. And the CTU also gave me a counselor, a therapist that I would have been using from the very start of the case. So I felt a bit more comfortable because I knew her. She knew about the case. She knew about the situation, how I felt and all of that. And she was even in the courtroom to support me. But I feel like if she was not there, I definitely would not have been able to sit down on that stand, because she was right next to me saying, you know, breathe and take your time, and when I was getting very overwhelmed. So I feel like the support during the court case, it was tremendous. I cannot fault it at all.
Oh boy. This is something you know, Natasha,
like
go ahead.
It feels like a documentary. I mean, it you really are transported into Sarah's, you know, space while she's going through this, and thinking back on what she had in fact experienced with this man, and having the courage to come back to Trinidad to face this man in court. That is not an easy thing, you know. I want people to recognize that it is never easy for a victim to endure a legal process that is questioning you and your decisions, and how she questioned the defense attorney. I mean, to have the moxie to do that in a courtroom really speaks to the character of this young woman.
You know, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we're going through Sarah's the part of that, her life, and with the CTU getting this conviction. And the more I listen to this young lady, the more I'm seeing a series on TV. But director, You more serious. I seen it, because she described that, that program on television.
Which one now?
Law and Order. It's right.
Yeah, Law and Order SVU, yes.
Right. But you all understand the courtroom, and you listen to Sarah just now, ma'am, director.
I am so moved by her testimony, because if you want the definition of courage, that is a true example. If you want an example of courage, that is a serious story.
Yes.
Because she spoke about the fear that she was undergoing throughout the whole trial, but yet she went in that box there and give that, told her story. That is courage. Yes? I am so amazed by that, and I wish every witness that we have or victim we have would have that type of courage to stand before, persons and they who are accused of this crime against them and look them in the face. She said she was disappointed that, there were times that he wasn't in court. She wanted to see him and tell him every time, this is what you did to me. Yes, I am the victim here. Now, there's another aspect of this that, I want to highlight, and it is the nuanced approach of law enforcement when dealing with people who have suffered trauma, as in the case of victims of trafficking. Sometimes, when you meet them, they are conditioned by their traffickers to tell law enforcement a particular story.
Yes.
And that story will always shift the events away, or shift the ingredients to prove trafficking in persons away from, from that whole scenario. But sometimes, after some time have elapsed, let's say that person is awaiting repatriation or deportation, and whether they're on order of supervision or whether they are at the detention center. Sometimes that person is, the story will change. And they will tell you, look, in fact, I am a victim of trafficking.
Right.
So the Counter Trafficking Unit has to be careful that even if another unit is dealing with a related crime, like sexual assault, indecent sexual assault and so on, if they were to get information even at that point that person was a victim of trafficking, let's go back, let's start over. Let us go and rescreen and make sure, right, that in fact we are not going to be punishing people for matters that are sidelined, but we get straight to the core of the matter. This is where all the penalties are. This is where all the big fines and so on are. So my plea to other law enforcement agencies, whether it's immigration or police and so on, right, do not stop at the point where you think, okay, the crime that I'm looking at is completed. Always listen to that person's story, re-interview them, and find out whether in fact that person was trafficked, because it will be wrong to charge a person, for a related crime, and let the big major crime go unpunished. So we always alert for that, and I think the immigration department, before they do any repatriation or any deportation, they do that exit interview to test again at that point to see whether that person's story has changed, and the fear that may have led them to tell the other story is no longer there, or they're willing to take a chance to move this in the direction of prosecution for trafficking in persons.
Right, so we have more to go, but ma'am, before we go to the conviction part now, could you tell us, lawyers, we have defense lawyers and we always have prosecuting lawyers, but you could imagine what she described, that this lawyer trying to discredit her, and we've seen it many, many times with victims in court, Could you describe how you felt when you heard that?
Because I know that the defense attorney is just that. She or he is paid to defend their client, right? But I think in this, because it was the very first, and it was a child. No, she was a child when the act occurred, but then you're watching a woman in the witness box. And I think the court in itself, the judge did fantastic, based on what I was told, in redirecting the jury that there are particular things. So Sarah speak about the fact that she indicated that you wanted this, you benefited from this,
Yes,
and tell her to check my bank account.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
But Sarah was a child. Consent,
that's not a factor.
That's not a factor.
right.
In the whole aspect of act means a purpose, in Sarah's matter, we didn't have to prove any means because she was a child.
Yes.
Right.
So, so those little things, and even, as we progress to, as a unit that is doing sensitizations, I think some of those defense attorneys might come and learn a few things. Because that projection, that direction, I should say, didn't make much sense.
And I think what you all did yesterday to the members of the judiciary, I hope most of them listening to an actual scenario now that they can learn a little more from. And again, if you're just joining us, you're listening to Independency, and those of you on YouTube and Facebook, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Please don't forget. Rosemary, thank you for the best wishes for the CTU. Thanks to the CTU office. Keep up the excellent work. And thank you so much for joining us. So, Natasha, let's go to where she speaks about the conviction now.
Yes, and how she felt about it, and the kind of impact that she understood it to have.
Yes. So here's Sarah, and speaking about the conviction.
When you found out that the gentleman was convicted of the charges and going to prison, what went through your mind?
When I left, the case didn't finish as yet. I think it was finishing like 3 days after. So I was on work and I just got the call, and I think I was just in such disbelief. Like, I wanted to scream, I wanted to cry, I wanted to jump, I wanted to hug somebody. I was just really, really relieved and happy, that justice is actually being served. And it was just a very surreal moment where I was just like, well, finally. And I just felt like this big weight just lifted off of my shoulders. It was one of the most surreal times. I think after work, I got home and I just cried. I was just like, yes.
But in terms of how would you describe it? Would you describe it as closure, justice, or was it more complicated than that?
I feel like definitely justice and closure, to the point where I was heard, because these people are strangers. They don't know me from anywhere, and me just sat there telling them my story. I feel like I felt so relieved because these people believed me and they saw the emotion on the stand, and I just felt really heard, and I felt like justice was definitely served. And I just really wanted to watch him and say, it's good. That's what it deserves. But yeah.
And let's talk about this part now. After all of that, he managed to elude that
the authorities again. Yes.
What was going through your mind then?
So while the case was happening, that's when he got away. Hence why I was so annoyed with the system, because I'm like, how could you allow this to happen? At this point, he's supposed to be, under lock and key, because you have a case going on, one of the biggest cases that, Trinidad had really, and how could you allow this to happen? So I was really, really annoyed. And even after the case, that was my first question after, when they told me, I was like, okay, so what's going on with you guys actually catching him and actually letting him serve his time? And they were like, they're really on it. They're trying their best. They have literally the entire country, Interpol, everything. Everybody is on it and on him. And, I think the officer that I'm in contact with, I think she got fed up of me asking. But I just kept asking every week, yo, Jim, what's the update? But she was really good as well. She would always keep me updated and all of that. But when it decided here that he got caught, I was just like, yes, hallelujah. That's when I actually felt like justice was served. At that point, I even told my family, don't post your location. You're driving, put your windows up, don't be driving with your windows down and all that, because you just never know, especially in Trinidad. Trinidad is quite small, but the officers did assure me that, even if it is he tried jumping ship again on a plane or whatever, everyone regionally and internationally was aware of what was going on. So I felt like I just wanted him to get catch, like, you know, I was just like, just please get it over with. But I did continue going to work and everything as normal, but still checking my phone every day to see, like, you know, what's going on.
Did it surprise you at all that he had absconded? But based on what you know of him, is that something that surprised you?
No, not even in the slightest. I mean, again, he is not just manipulator of the people that he victimized. Anything that he can manipulate, he will. You know, and I think he definitely took advantage of small little minor things that people would overlook. That is what he's going to use to his advantage. So when I heard it, I was like, this is just not out of his character. Mind you, I found out while the case was going on and while I was on my way to court, I think. I found out and I was like, but they were trying to hide it from me so that I wasn't too scared, but I fast. So they were like talking outside the vehicle and I was like, what are they talking about? And then like, cause I told the officer, I was like, you guys need to not hide anything from me. Cause at that point I felt like they was hiding something. Usually they will talk in front of me and then all of a sudden they were like, let me step outside. And I was like, right, guys, you guys need to be upfront with me. What exactly is going on? And, you know, they told me and I was just like, I just felt pure rage, if anything. I was just so angry. I was really annoyed. I was really, really annoyed.
But as you mentioned, your family, well, in terms of your connection with them, when you came back to testify, were you able to re-establish that connection? And how was that?
So when I came back to testify, I think like when the matter was almost over, the CTU provided a day for me to like, you know, meet up with my family because they didn't know I was here. No one literally knew I was in the country. And when my family actually heard like, you know, everything come out, because there was a press conference and all of that, and a lot of the details were mentioned, I don't think they knew how exactly to feel, and they were giving me a lot of pity at that point. But at that point, I was already over the entire situation, you know, so the pity wasn't actually called for. If anything, it was kind of more like, don't need it, you know, I'm kind of over it. But yes, I mean, it's my family at the end of the day, and they're going to always feel like, you know, they could have done more, and it's their fault to some point, and I just have to kind of reassure them. It's fine, like, I've already crossed the hurdle, but I think because I've already dealt with all of that trauma, it will come across like, you know, she's fine, like, you know, but truly I am. But that's just because I worked so hard within that time frame, because when he got arrested, it was a long time ago. So I worked really hard to reach where I am now, but my family is kind of like, they were only then starting to feel that. I just had to kind of like tell them, guys, it's all right, I'm fine.
Oh, Lord, this is what a journey. Ma'am, let's have you right. Did you feel the same way she felt when that conviction came? Tell us about that feeling that day in court.
Well, pure joy. Pure joy, because I know that Sarah lost plenty, you know. Sarah lost the ability to be here with her family, to be safe in the country of her birth. You know, so it was pure joy. I know that even the process of the court hearing, because as I mentioned, there was a lot of submissions, a lot of fighting. For every minute Sarah will be on the stand, you see she come back outside because, you know, there's something that was said in the court and there is a deliberation on the evidence. Even at the point when I had to give my evidence, I was found in and out of the court because there was an objection and then I have to do a submission. So I spent, I myself spent close to 4 days on the stand, right? Deliberating in the process because, of course, the defense attorney needed to not have some of the evidence that we hadn't be admitted. Because, mind you, the book that had Sarah's name in it and the amount of money attached to the side, they didn't want the jury to see that.
Okay.
So the deliberations was there, the fight was there, so it was pure joy. And then, of course, I understood the importance of the conviction too. Where Trinidad and Tobago stood in terms of our tip reporting and our assessment. And we would have been facing serious sanctions if we did not at least show that we had the capacity
to convict.
Yep.
Director?
Yes, this as I said before, this girl, I'm perpetually amazed by the way she speaks,
Yes.
and how she expresses all the emotions and so on. There's no words that I could put together that would, could stand in the place of that. But, I admire her courage. I admire the fact that, she knew that the healing process that she was going through.
Yeah.
She knew when she was traumatized. She knew when she was weak. She knew when she needed to have courage, and she knew when to feel victory.
Yeah.
So I am absolutely amazed at her story and her manner of delivery of that story.
Yeah.
It makes me feel as though if you to go back at my desk and do some more work,
But God,
try to get some more people like this.
But God, permit me, because I think it's important for us to really sound off a horn to our unsung heroes, the state councils at the DPP office. Brandon Suku, Dylan Martin. Those guys used to have virtual meetings with her before she arrived, preparing her for what would have been, so, and these men and women at the DPP office, they work very hard, right? They work very hard to ensure that the work that the police do ends in a conviction.
Right.
So I just wanted to be able at that point to give them,
the kudos.
And let me just tack on something at the end of that. It shows the importance now of partnership.
Yes.
Not just with all the NGOs and all the stakeholders, but various arms of the police service. Yes, immigration, all of us coming together. It is that type of partnership, partnering with the DPP's office, partnering with the judiciary as well. Judiciary may not want to partner with us because of the separation of powers. But nevertheless, we will sensitize them so that they will be aware of what it is we are dealing with. Because you can't do this alone. If it is, you say, well, okay, let me form a squad to deal with trafficking in persons. We may not be able to go directly, to the point of what we do, and in the manner it needs to be done to have this type of result.
Well, we have 2 more clips to share with you folks.
Yes.
Life as a Survivor, and of course Sarah talks about forgiveness and the future. So let's go to that quickly before we...
This is the longest clip. So she talks here about what life has been like for her since the conviction. How do you think your life has changed since the conviction?
So since the conviction, I feel like I am definitely bolder, and I will definitely always say what I have to say, get things off of my chest and stand my ground. And, people always be like, "Is your way or the highway?" Like, I was never like that, but now it's like that. I'm very strong-minded now, and I don't cower to do anything at all if I genuinely feel like that's what I want to do. So I feel like since the conviction is definitely given me a boost of who I am. And I'm actually grateful for it because, I have a big mouth. I'm going to use it.
So you felt too as well, you were part of a process in getting a bad guy off.
You know what? I think it's only during the matter in court that they explained to me that, this is going to be the first human trafficking trial in Trinidad and Tobago. So this is literally history. I was like, what? And that is why I was also very angry that, he was able to escape. But I felt like, I was really proud of myself for being able to sit down there and make history with the country and the CTU as well. I was proud of myself for just doing it. And I was proud of myself for giving the CTU that win as well, because we need it, especially at a time like now. We really need to let these perpetrators on the street know that we're coming after you and you're not going to just get away with doing whatever you want. So I was just really proud of myself and the CTU, of course.
Did it make you think about advocacy?
Yes.
Are you still thinking about it?
Yes.
Being that voice for voiceless out there?
Yes.
How you plan to do that?
So I'm definitely going to be working on a book. I want to release my book first. And I feel like when I'm done with my book, then I would be able to stand up and talk about it, because I kind of get everything out on paper already, and all the tears already come while I write and all of that. So when it is I can stand up and talk to people, like, I'm not showing them my fear or my fears, I'm just giving them all my strength and my power, because that's what they would need. They don't need me and them crying. They're not going to help nobody. So yes, I definitely want to start doing, talks and just go around and just helping vulnerable people, especially. And yeah, I want to start that as soon as I drop my book.
And on that note, if someone who is listening to this right now, who is still trapped or afraid to come forward, what would you want them to hear from you?
Wow, that's a big question. Okay, I just want you to know that you're not alone, and you have to find the strength and the love for yourself to just keep pushing. Everything, things happen and things will stop. Nothing is forever, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And you have to make it out. Like, you have to give yourself the strength and the love and the push to just keep going in life, right? And just to reach out. That's one thing I did not do that I would always tell people to do. Because we always in our mind, what would they say? Or they mightn't even self-care or believe me. But you just never know. You just never know who is going to believe you. So just reach out to that auntie or that uncle or your grandparents or your long lost cousin that you used to be real good with. Like, just reach out to them and let them know what's happening. Or reach out to the CTU.
Have you ever tried doing any research on any other cases such as yours, since this has come to because you're doing a book? So did you ever look at other cases like yours?
In Trinidad?
Outside of Trinidad? Yeah.
No, I haven't, but my goal is to connect with people that have survived and are victims, but are not living like a victim, people who want to be able to stand up on their 2 feet and talk and be strong, and support other people. But so that is my goal, to, be able to stand up and speak with those people and hug them on stage in front of all these people, so that victims don't think that they have nobody. I want to be able to be with survivors and just, embrace them.
Despite what, there are still men and women out there who insist on doing this for a living. What would you say to them?
The perpetrators?
Yes.
I would definitely have to say, you have a mother, you have probably daughters, a sister, brothers. It is just not okay to be hurting people like this. Mentally, physically, emotionally, it's just not okay. And you have to be one of the biggest monsters within yourself. You have to hate yourself to be able to inflict this kind of torture, I would say, on somebody else. It is not okay at all. And I just wanted you to find all here. Just saying.
What do you want people like those in law enforcement, social workers, members of the public, what do you want them to truly understand about survivors like yourself?
I met with my old high school teacher yesterday. She just looked at me and she said, I just want you to know that you've made me a better person, and you've made me a better teacher and a better mother. Because part of my statement at the beginning was that, my teachers didn't even question my absence from school or even reach out to me after. And that is one teacher that actually knows the story, because she heard you guys actually when we did the first interview. She actually heard the story. So she heard everything. She heard all the details. And from that, she's like, if I have a student now that is missing too much days, I will simply pull them at the side and have a proper conversation, I would try to be that intervention. So you've definitely made me a better teacher for that. And it's just things like that we need. You know, we need people who are in these positions to be asking the correct questions and to just reach out and support. That's all people need. But sometimes something simple as just a question. Why are you missing so much days? What exactly is going on these days? Do you want to talk? Just simple questions like that could unravel so much and prevent so much from happening, you know. People in these kind of positions just need to be more aware.
So at some point in time, you had felt abandoned and alone going through that?
Yes, definitely, 100%. I felt like it was me and me alone. And I knew how that felt. And it was not okay at all. So, you know, if it is, I could make one teacher a better teacher, to just give somebody else that listening ear to know that they're not alone. That's a relief for me, because I wanted a teacher to ask me. You know, I wanted a stranger to come and just say, you know, what's going on? You good? I see you stand up there, you know? I see you stand up there, your face thing. I would have probably been rescued, or like, you know, the situation could have not even happened. So yeah, it's just kind of just asking the right questions and just being observant and just present when you're with people. So yeah.
Big question. What do you see the parents? Mother, father, what they would have missed with you?
I would say the same thing. I feel like parents are the ones that see their children every single day. You need to realize when it is your child mood switch. You need to realize when your child is pulling to the side or trying to be by themselves. You need to realize that is your child at the end of the day, and you are the person that they should want to come and talk to. Don't make your children so afraid that they don't want to talk to you, they don't want to open up, they don't want to tell you what's going on in their life, because situations like this is going to happen. Someone is taking advantage of your child, but they're too scared to tell you, because the first thing you're going to do is cuff and carry on or hit them. So you need to be present when it comes to your children. Talk to them, you know, love them. I'm not saying you have to be a friend to your child, but just allow a comfortable environment where they feel safe to talk to you.
Yeah.
Hey.
You all know my position on corporal punishment, right? So I wholeheartedly, that last part.
Yeah, and she spoke about teachers too, ma'am.
Yes.
And teachers paying attention. If a teacher had paid attention, they probably would have asked a question.
Especially in the environment that we are now, where we're witnessing so much violence in schools. It makes you wonder, who are the authority figures in these institutions? How are they contributing to what we're seeing?
And the CTO would have done sensitization in schools. Ad nauseum.
Yeah. Sarah really touched some salient points in that last segment. As law enforcement, we just couldn't understand how a parent did not know what was happening, or even the teachers.
Yeah.
So we investigated all. Because we just needed to be sure.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But it's so true, and as deputy director of the unit and having worked in the unit, part of what we do at the Counter Trafficking Unit is sensitize not just students, but teachers, safety officers. You know, looking at the signs, and it's always good when you go to do one of those sensitizations and you get a follow-up call with say to you, something happened. What do you think about that situation? So that means it's provoking some level of thought.
Right.
But most definitely, we have done some significant work this year, reaching over 2,500 students with the Trinity Dance Theatre, with the silence production. And we continue to do work even in confirmation classes on a Sunday.
Right.
My officers go out and have discussions, because some children operate differently in different environments.
Right.
I say that again.
Understood, yes.
Some children operate differently
in different
environments. So not just going to the school, but the clubs and we want to start to do some work with the guides and the scouts and all those youth organizations that children operate differently in. Right? But the work continues.
Director?
Yeah, so those are those are our pull factors to pull people away through sensitization, away from the danger. But then there's the push factor, where you have a subculture existing within our community that has a disposition towards resolving conflicts through violence, to glorify the use of drugs, to hypersexualize all these situations and so on. And the parents and they do not know the language and the jargon that exists within that subculture, so it's alien to them. Sometimes you speak to a young person and you wonder, what is the language this person speaking? Unless you are prepared to listen to that extent where you could decipher it, right or wrong you, they will be planning the thing and planning events and so on, and you're unaware. Now, hear what that does. For those just younger, they provide mentorship on the blocks. Yeah, those who could boast and say how much evil they did in the society. Yes, how much ghosts they make and all that. And the little ones and them running around and glorifying that, want to be just like that. So we providing a pull factor to tell them, hey, be aware through sensitization, be aware of that. Yes, as one of it. Now, writ large, you can imagine the amount of pull and push factors that takes place within the community, within the society. Yeah. But from my perspective, where I sit, we have to go out there and warn Trinidad and Tobago that this exists and there's a subculture of exploiters, yes, banded together in the form of gangs, because trafficking in person is a gang offense.
Activity, yes.
Yes. So, organized crime.
Yeah, yes. So this is what we face with. We're not just looking at the mundane operation and so on. We're looking at how are we impacting the society. That is where, sitting in as the director right now, this is the level we're at, and I think that if we start at that level, the other areas and so on will fall into place.
And I want to throw in this here for the CTU folks, and we have the same sentiments being shared online and on YouTube. And we thank you all for recognizing that, as Jana said, greetings to all, enough respect to Sarah, admire your courage and strength, continue your journey. Jana said, I also appreciate the work of the CTU, continue striving for justice for abused persons. And we too want to recognize the fact that the job you all doing here, you all are stepping on toes, you all are putting your lives on the line, literally, to crack or to make a breakthrough in this heinous crime, this modern day slavery. A lot of people are not going to be happy when you raid their establishment to try to establish what's going on inside there and rescue victims. You are not going to make people happy. You know that. So you all need to stay prayed up as well and get protection from the Almighty Father for the work that you're doing. We need to show that gratitude to this unit where that is concerned. And we thank again after and after the Homeland Security now for giving that unwavering support for the unit to continue its work. So we say good morning to the Minister and the PS as well for understanding how important this unit is and to keep it fueled so that it could bring us to that position on the list of, let's get to tier 1. Because we wanted to show you folks how easy it is. And this is a short video that you might even miss what happened with a woman getting her drink getting spiked. How easy it can happen. Now it's vacation time. We have a lot of parties. We have a lot of things going on. Remember, there are predators out there fishing for souls. And you all have to be aware, especially when you're drinking a lot. So, Chopin, go to that video quick. I want to show people, Mama, what you all will miss it, but they show it over again in slow motion to see what this guy did.
I know the video you're talking about.
Yes, okay. So for those of you who listening, those of you watching, I just want to show you how easy it happens. We don't know what happened to that young lady, if she was trafficked, but we know she was drugged because once she continued drinking that drink, eventually they would have had to carry out of that function, and what would happen after, we come back and wrap up with Ma'am and the director here this one. So short man, go to it.
F.
That's F. Go to that. And what's close?
Sorry, K. K. Sir.
K, sir.
K.
Yeah. It happens so So when you show it again.
But who's recording this?
Well, I guess that would have been
recorded it. I wonder if he or she noticed what happened. Obviously, they would have
sometime after, yeah,
zoomed in and stuff. But I wonder if the
man
person
dancing around,
recording
boom, he just dropped that pill in that thing.
noticed that at the time.
Well, you know, when I saw it, I thought, I hope the story ended that her friends saw her looking inebriated, and then they say, let's go, and then we decided to go and check our phones, and then we check the video, we see, oh, that happened, so she's safe. So that was that's the part of the story I'm hoping for, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But
Because I'm saying once you go out and you go out with friends, friends will ensure that you get home safely.
They're supposed to.
So the message is, make sure you have your network of friends when you're going out.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the tip for law enforcement, as we keep saying, you know, it wouldn't hurt to ask a question if you see someone being carried out.
Yes.
Just stop and ask the person, you know this person, what's the
That's
person's
right.
name, and you know, be aware of what can happen to someone so easy. I can't get over how slick this guy do that. You could see he accustomed. Look at that. And wow. But we have them out there, director, deputy.
Evil lives.
We have them out there. So could we take some calls quickly for the directorate here, folks? You could express your sentiments to them, but thank you all for joining us. Remember to like and subscribe. And before we wrap up, I want to say to you out there who heard a comment last week, you are not weak if you are a victim or
Thank
you
you.
become addicted to a substance.
Yes, that
you
is
are
not
not
a
weak.
sign of a weak-minded individual in
It's
the
not.
least. And,
So-
and I'm glad you raised that, God, because it's very upsetting to know after the work that we do on the radio that somebody would come right after us and say that.
Yeah, you're not weak because there are so many scenarios. Remember, there's fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. There is people who are predisposed to substance abuse. And don't let anybody, if you become a victim, even of trap, don't let anybody convince you that you are weak because you're addicted to a substance. That is rubbish. And, you know, when we started our independency, didn't have Facebook or YouTube. So we didn't care about likes and views. Now we have 10,000 followers on Facebook, and we're trying to reach that on YouTube as well. That didn't come easy, but we did not achieve that by giving false and disinformation to the public.
Correct.
Stop it. No one is weak being an addict. There are people who are predisposed, and we have to remember that. Please, when you're looking for likes and views, say the correct things, all right? And Tamika? 62239. Yeah, let's take a call for the directorate. We have people here they're doing the work for Trinidad and Tobago, and we must let them know we appreciate them. Hello, good morning.
A blessed day to you and Miss Natasha and to the crew.
Morning.
To see what you all are saying there, when you go into these places and see who the people are. At time I went into this club and the people reporting they hold him apart. When I was seeing immigration, when I was seeing custom, when I was seeing police, when I was seeing lawyers, I said, well, what's going on here? And all you're crying to me. I'm so scared now. What to do? And I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help them. You see the people in high places, if they stand up and make law and order and press on it and make it work, things would change in this country. And to Mr. Govaro, you get a new position, sir. Please enforce the law and don't go on radio and TV and make programs. Have a blessed and wonderful day.
6223937. Hello.
622 eyes.
622. Good morning. Sorry about that. 622-3937. We are just wrapping up with the Director and Deputy Director of the Counter Trafficking Unit. Hello, good morning. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes,
Hi,
good
morning.
morning. You're live.
Good morning. I just want to tell the police officers that's some fantastic work. You all have a fantastic job, and I'm hoping that we have every single case that goes through the court, you guys get a success. So here my question quickly. From your experience, what is the root cause of this kind of crime? Because obviously the victim and the perpetrator will be of two different mindsets until they actually meet. So from your experience, speaking to people in interviews and going in places the average person wouldn't go and hear things and see things, what in your mind is the root cause of this kind of crime?
That's a heavy
Well,
question to give
well-
us at 11:56. But
let me quickly say, root cause and proximate cause, those are social and psychological terms that are used to describe certain circumstances.
Right.
But in the case of trafficking in persons, to narrow it down, the root cause to predispose a person to be trafficked is vulnerability. And that vulnerability can come from, you could have a natural disaster, in Haiti, they had an earthquake. And how many children they stole from the trafficked to the United States.
Correct.
So that once you see there are circumstances, man-made or otherwise, that causes a person to be vulnerable, then they are at risk of being exploited in that manner. Yep.
I think it's also important for me to advise the caller that the Counter Trafficking Unit is a unit that is under the Ministry of Homeland Security, and not a unit under the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service.
Good.
Yes.
Right? So we have officers who work with us from the police, the Immigration Defense Force. So we are a multi-agency under the Ministry of Homeland Security.
Let's see going on. Hello, good morning.
Morning. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Hi,
Yes,
morning.
you're on, but take off your radio.
Good morning. I just want to say that I am super proud of the work that the CTU is doing. And, listening to this program has caused me to be so aware of my immediate surroundings and with my family and all that. So, Mr. Director and Mr. Deputy Director, we are very proud of you, especially. Continue the good work.
And that's the idea. Thank you very much.
We will.
Thank you, Nikita.
Yes. Oh.
Got you make out Nikita voice?
No. So we have just 2 minutes before we wrap up. So any closing comments from Director and Deputy as we...
I guess I could go first.
Yes.
Coming into the directorate, I came in with some passion, and the passion is rooted in the matter of Sarah. And I'm so very proud that, we could sit here this morning and really go through the processes and hear from Sarah exactly how she felt, because sometimes in the progress of prosecutions and the work that we do, we seldom hear from the victims,
right?
And the commendations that Sarah brought forward for the JPU, and I just want to compound that, because
that's the Justice Protection Unit.
We have officers who are dedicated to their duties within Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. Director said it. We work with so many persons, the SIU, the Financial Investigations Branch, the FIU, and this amalgamated force that we put together here is so very important, the Immigration Division. And I just want to end by just wishing my goddaughters, Skylar, Marley, Joseph, happy 8th birthday.
Right. Director?
God, I am given the responsibility to fashion the response of the Trinidad and Tobago in relation to trafficking in persons. I would like to believe that organizational transformation is a passion that I have. So I need to know what is the strategic goal to be achieved? How do I use the resources I have to line them up in such a way to best achieve that goal? And how do I make the experience with me and my subordinates such that everybody is enthused and geared towards the achievement of the goal? That is the level I operate from, and this is where I'm taking the Counter Trafficking Unit.
Thank you very much, Director. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you.
And we say congratulations to the Mashama. So she's known as Giselle Mashama now, and not Giselle Chance any longer.
Congratulations!
Jumped the broom yesterday. So, Miss the Mashamas, congratulations, and see you all next week on Dependency. Thank you very much, Natasha, for this work that you've done putting these things together. Well done.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
Take care, folks. Major news up next at 12.
Good afternoon.